for the domains of organization, development, emotional intelligence, and life coaching. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us today. Before handing over the mic, I welcome you all once again to the webinar and hope that you'll have a great time ahead. Now let's welcome Aarti Sahu ma'am to enlighten us on getting workplace ready.
Yeah, thank you so much for that kind introduction. First of all, a very good morning to everyone. And I would really like to appreciate each and everyone who has joined here because today being a Sunday, all of you are here. So that really means a lot, and I really applaud your commitment and dedication. And once again, thank you to all the team of whoever has organized this because they keep thinking about your benefit and how these kind of programs can benefit you. So once again, thank you for them. Thank you to them also for giving me this opportunity. Okay, now as I said, today being a Sunday, and since all of you have joined, we'll try to not make it a very theoretical and a session wherein I keep speaking, and all of you keep sleeping, because maybe that's what happens in the sessions, right? I mean, as the person who introduced me was telling that I am an engineer, so I know what happens behind the cameras, or even when we are class, we have this ability that we can sleep with our eyes open also, because as you know that engineers can do anything, right? So we'll try to have it make it an interactive session. I understand that the videos are not on, but that's okay. We'll try to keep the engagement live through the chat. Okay, so before we start with the topic, there will be a couple of things. I'll briefly lay out the agenda for today's session, and then I would like to know a couple of things about you, and then we start. So the agenda will be, initially there'll be some introduction sort of a thing, wherein I get to know more about you. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask all of you to unmute yourself and listen one by one. I understand that's also kind of a pressure, especially after the pandemic when we are asked to introduce ourselves. But we'll do a little bit of exercise which will help us know about ourselves. And secondly, we will start talking about the topic in hand today, getting workplace ready. Okay, and towards the end of the session, we will have time dedicated for question and answer. So any questions that you have, we will take it at the end. Okay, and in between also, if you feel that there's a pressing question and you would like to know the answer there and there itself, feel free to unmute yourself, raise your hand, or put it up on the chat, whichever way is feasible for you. Okay, so we'll start. First question to all of you is, how are all of you feeling right now? So just as when we travel, we, especially if you are traveling by flight, we do a check-in, right? At the baggage counter, we have to do the check-in. So when we start with these sessions, especially online sessions, that too when it's a Sunday afternoon time, good time for us to sleep, right? We wake up at this time, most of us, especially if it's a weekend, right? So just as we do that check-in, we would like to do an emotional check-in now. Meaning, how are all of you feeling right now? Like, are you all tired, or you all curious, or you all excited, or bored, or what's the feeling? How has your day been so far? What's the feeling? If you have to put it down on the chat, what would you say? Feel free to put it up on the chat, whatever it is. Bored, looking forward to what we will learn or what we will hear now, or excited or curious. I've heard a lot about VIT students, so I'm sure you will keep up to those expectations.
Yeah, Mrudula, disable chat option to everyone.
And ma'am, due to this type of a spam thing, we must disable the chat, so that's why we will be enabling that.
Okay, yes. When I was also clicking, it was telling me only available to team members. So when it will be enabled, everyone will be able to chat. Like
Yes,
they'll
ma'am.
be okay.
We are doing that now.
Okay, sure. So till that time, all of you can think. And unlike general sessions wherein the speaker comes and then you'll sleep or maybe you'll just listen, this is going to be a session wherein you will have to, I will take a lot of inputs from you guys. So it's going to be a little different so that whatever little sleep is there in our eyes, that also goes away. Because even on a Sunday, if you have dedicated this 1 hour, that ensure that you take away something from this 1 hour. Okay, then only it will be beneficial for all of you. So till the time we are getting the chat enabled, let me quickly share the screen. And there is another point of reflection I want all of you to share on the chat when it is enabled. So I'm sharing the screen right now so that you can think about it a little. Okay. Let me share the screen. Yes, are you all able to see the screen? I hope so.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. So the question that I wanted all of you to reflect is, once the chat is enabled, for me to know all of you so that we can customize the remaining part of the session, the topic that we have in hand. I would like to know which year and branch you are from. And the second question, because we are almost at the end of the year and we just have almost like 40 days left for the year to end. Whichever year you are in, your first year, second year, third year, we are stepping a step closer towards our goal, isn't it? So I want all of you to reflect on how this year has been so far. Okay, and whenever the chat is enabled, we'll start putting it up on the chat. Okay, and definitely the first thing is important for me to know. Accordingly, I can customize the remaining half of the session. Once the chat is enabled, team, please let me know once the responses are popping up, because it is full screen now. I will then switch to the chat mode.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. We are working on that. And
Okay.
guys, in between, if you want, you can unmute yourself and talk with the ma'am also. You can be like an interactive session with Mike also.
Yes. So we'll wait for a couple of more seconds for this.
And yes, ma'am, in between, you can continue with the session also. Like we are working upon that also. So as
Okay.
organizer is away from the meet, so we are
Hmm.
working on that.
Okay, fine, fine. So we will take this a little while later. Right. So what we'll do now is, as the team member also said, that we need some more time to get this set and to set this up. So till that time, we'll do a small exercise that I was telling that we will do. And this is something I will also do along with you. This will be very, very relatable if you are a third year student, but otherwise also this is going to be very relatable, because when I was doing my engineering, when I, after 12th standard, when I had a number of career options to go for, one of the reasons why people suggested that you should go for engineering, apart from the interest and skill, like the analytical skills and all of that, the strong reason that most people have in mind, especially in India, is once you get into engineering, at the end of the 4 years, you have a job in hand. Right. So even if you are in first year or second year, and the exercise that we do is something that you would be having in your mind. It is not necessary that you have a clear vision of it, but then it's an exercise that will definitely help you and give you some clarity. Okay, so let's start with that exercise. I want all of you to close your eyes first. Okay, now I'm not there in front of you, your cameras are off. But I still want all of you to close your eyes. See, the slide will be there. If you start reading what is there, it will not help you. You close your eyes and you visualize, and then you can come back and take a screenshot of this or save it or read it. But then don't try to read now, because I want your brains to be very clear right now, so that you can have a good visualization, because visualization is important in this exercise. Okay, so we'll do that. Close your eyes and first of all take a deep breath, especially if you were occupied with something and have just joined this session directly. So take a deep breath and close your eyes. Okay. Visualize yourself few years from now. Okay, if you are a first year student, maybe 3 years after this, second year, 2 years, third year, again, maybe 2 years, 1 or 2 years. Okay, so I want you to visualize yourself having finished your graduation and getting ready for the workplace. Look at yourself, see the person you are. What do you find yourself doing? It's the year 2025. What do you see yourself doing? If you ever had a dream organization and can think of which organization you would like to work in, think of which organization you want to find yourself working in the year 2025.
Hello.
Yes. What is your designation? Your offer letter you have will have your designation. The table that you sit at in your office will have your designation. Try to visualize the designation that you have. At your workplace, look at people around you. What kind of team members do you want? Your colleagues. Now, I want you to bring a number on the screen of your mind. A number on the screen of your mind. This number is your age in the year 2025. Your age in the year 2025. Reflect on at this stage and age in life. You are now in the year 2025 with your age in the year 2025 on the screen of your mind. At this stage and age in life, what's the thing that is most important to you? At this age, what is it that is most important to you? What have you accomplished at this age? Now, I want you to focus on the feeling. How does it feel to be you? Notice the feeling. Any sensations in your body? Feel the person you are, your true self. Whenever you are ready, come back. slowly open your eyes and come back. How are you feeling? You might not be able to put it on the chat, but I hope this visualization gave you some clarity. And those of you who would have dreamt of that this is an organization I would like to work in, this is the kind of workplace I want, then that will give you clarity. This visualization is going to give you clarity that maybe this is the direction towards which I want to take steps. Okay, so let us start, because for the visualization that we did, and as I was sharing a couple of seconds back, that when we join engineering, okay, we have, or maybe even our family members or people around us have some goals for ourselves. They want us to be at some place, they want us to achieve something, and of course we also have our own set of personal goals. And this personal goal can also be that by the end of second year or by the end of first year, you realize that engineering is not something that I would like to do after these 4 years, a career in that. So then you start preparing for CAT or UPSC or some other thing. You want to start something of your own, something of related to entrepreneurship or anything. Important is reflection, important is awareness. And what you do of the interest that you have, the career that you have in your mind, that's completely up to you. Just as someone told me that scope is not there in a field, but scope is there in a human being. If you have the potential, if you have the right intention, and most importantly in today's day and age, the right guidance, you will reach where you want to. Okay, so now that all of us are in the same boat, even if I may be in first year or I may be in third year, one is maybe a little closer to the placement process or to the process of getting jobs, and the other is a little far. But then all of us have jumped into this boat for the final goal that towards the end of the 4 years, this is where I want to reach. And let me not generalize by all, I would say most of us would have this mindset that after these 4 years, I want to get a job and I want to start working, or I want to start something of my own. But then we have some goals that after these 4 years, this is where I want to go to. And even if you are someone who is clueless, where do I want to go after 4 years? That's also fine. Things can be taken one day at a time and still you will get clarity. Okay, so now realizing that all of this backdrop stories, it is important for us to understand that what are employers or organizations looking for when they say that we hire people from this background, or we hire people from this age group. Okay, there are some expectations also that organizations have. So we will move towards that as well. Okay, and before we do that, the vision that we had, we'll do one small exercise. We'll not let it go into waste. What I want all of you to do is just think about this, the reality, the vision that you had. And I also visualize something, and I'll also do this exercise along with you. I do it every time I take this exercise. Okay, for myself as well, because it's important for us to give us these reminders. Whatever vision you saw for yourself, I want all of you to think of one thing that maybe you are already doing and you need to continue doing that so that you can make this vision a reality. This slide is sort of going to complete this exercise, and then we move on to the next half of the session. Okay, so one thing you need to continue doing, this thing could be updating your skills, this could be becoming more confident, this could be participating more extracurricular activities, this could be increasing your managerial abilities by organizing events or being part of some committees, this could be outgoing, this could be anything, something that you are already doing, and you need to continue doing this so that you can make this vision a reality. Because as the slide says, making this vision, making it a reality, meaning the vision that we had. I want you to reflect it. Okay, and while I'm speaking to you, as I said, I'm also doing this. I have noted down what is it that I need to continue doing. Okay, second thing is one thing that you need to stop doing, something that you are doing now but you feel that this vision that you saw, this thing is actually a barrier. It could be mindless scrolling on social media, it could be peer pressure, it could be spending or maybe not spending time in a good circle. Maybe you have realized this thing that this circle is not really helping me, but still because my first year se inke साथ ही था, तो you are just continuing with this group even though you know that this group is not helping you that much, and you feel that you need to create boundaries and all of this. So whatever it is, it will be different for everybody. I want all of you to make a note of these two things. But make a note of it. Either make a mental note if you don't have a notebook or a pen, a note in your mobile, in your notes app, in your WhatsApp, if you have your own space on WhatsApp or any place. But I want you to make a note of it, because if you have as I said at the start, if you have devoted an hour of yours on a Sunday evening with this beautiful timing of this year end wherein we try to push ourselves, we try to set new year resolutions, so let this be a time wherein you take this little step of bringing about a change. Okay, so in case you are yet to think what is it that you need to continue or stop doing, make a note of the question and then you can come back to it later. So we'll proceed. Now, as we were saying that all of us, irrespective of the years we are in, we are trying to achieve that goal of being or joining the workplace. And when we are at this stage in life wherein we are putting ourselves out there in the job market or educating ourselves, studying so that we can maybe join the workforce one day, it is important for us to understand what are the expectations organizations or employers have when they hire people. Okay, so there is an organization which is known as the World Economic Forum. It comes up with a report which is known as the Future of Jobs report. If you are able to see it at the right hand corner, it is known as the Future of Jobs report by the World Economic Forum. Okay, what they have done is they have tried to enlist all the skills that is required for the new normal or for the year 2025. Now, from where is this word new normal coming? So I'll take you a little back to history. There's something known as VUCA, VUCA. Had the chat been enabled, I would have written it, but then you can make a note of it. We'll use our hearing sense more. VUCA. It was said that we are living in a VUCA world. VUCA is a term which is coined from the military, and almost a decade back, businesses started having this feeling that the business world is becoming a VUCA world. VUCA stands for volatile, V stands for volatile, U stands for uncertain, C stands for complex, and A stands for ambiguous. Okay. Now you can understand that in a military situation, the challenges that are there are all of these kinds. They are volatile, they are complex, they are uncertain, right? So businesses started feeling that even the business world is turning into that. And when the pandemic happened, they said that this is it. This is the new normal. The world is now a VUCA world. Because in the pandemic situation, it was not as easy. Just as we have an if else statement, if this, then this, in the pandemic situation it was not as easy that okay, if I close offices then I will benefit, if I open offices then this will happen. It was not certain, it was very complex. Today if a leader has to decide whether I should go for layoffs or whether I should completely shut down, it's not an easy decision. It's not via some pattern recognition or machine learning you can feed it to the bot and the bot will be able to take a decision. These are complex situations, these are ambiguous situations, right? So this new normal, whenever you use this, see this word new normal, remember we are talking about a VUCA word. Okay, now how is this thing going to help you? I want all of you to make a note of this VUCA and the full form also, because these are things that you can use in your interview. Okay, so remember that this can be used in the interview also. We can discuss more about that later on, or if you can connect with me later, then also we can discuss more about it. But then just note.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, you are muted.
Okay, so
Yes.
till where did you hear? Till what point? What was the last thing that you heard?
Ma'am, till about the explanation of that OKA only.
VUCA only, right? Okay, fine. Yes. So we were talking about this VUCA world. This new normal is equal to the VUCA world. So when World Economic Forum categorize this thing that what will be the skills that will be required for the new normal or for this VUCA world, they categorize it into 4 buckets. And in order to get workplace ready, friends, these are the 4 categories of skills we need to be strong in. Because if you look at the year 2025, it's the year which most of you would be graduating in, or some of you would maybe 2 to 3 years in the workforce, right? So these are the kind of skills that all of us will need, including myself. So let's see what are the kind of skills they have categorized, and also let's understand the sequence. Okay. So first is self-management, second is problem solving, third is working with people, and fourth is technology and design. Okay, now I want all of you to notice this thing. All of us are engineers, okay, including myself. But if we look at the skills required for the new normal, listen to this very carefully, friends. If we look at the skills required for the new normal, the last bucket, World Economic Forum has put as technology and design, which is programming. And irrespective of the branch that we get into, be it mechanical or electrical or electronics, when we join college, some of us realize that at the end of the day, we'll have to get into IT only, we'll have to program only. So our entire focus is on programming. But see, they have put it at the last bucket. Programming, they have put at the last bucket. So what is more important? Because you have joined this session, I want all of you, each and every one who has joined this session, to get this thing, at least this thing, very clearly about programming and problem solving. And we'll discuss that. That will be helpful to all of you, and you will be able to shape your next few years preparation based on that. Okay. So the skill that all of us are running behind, we feel that we'll solve more problems on HackerOth, HackerRank, and we'll solve 200 problems on lead code, and then we'll put so many projects on GitHub, and then all of that, machine learning algorithms, data science, everything. But then they have put it where they have put it, that is also something we need to understand. So if they are putting that skill that we used to feel, for the reason for which we did engineering, maybe we felt that this is what the world needs. If the World Economic Forum has put it in the last bucket, so what are the skills they have put in the first few buckets? That we need to understand. Okay. And you will be able to relate it to the pandemic. Remember that these things are designed for the new normal, which is the VUCA, and an example is the pandemic situation. Okay. So first thing is self-management. Organizations want people who are active learners. What does that mean? See, the technology that we have today, after a few years, the technology might change, right? So organizations want people who are active learners, who can learn. They are ready to train you, but they want people to have this mindset that we want to learn. Okay, now there are a couple of things here. 2 examples I would like to give. There could be one person who feels that I have good proficiency in Java and just wants to stick to Java. And let's say I join an organization for 5 years, I work there, and then suddenly there is some migration or something, and then we decide to switch to another platform. Okay, and if I feel that no, I have so much experience in this language, or let's talk about COBOL or mainframes, which were very old, and if you say that, no, I am not comfortable learning a new language and all of that, that's not active learning. This mindset is not going to help you. You'll bear the consequences. Just like when computers came in and some people were not comfortable, they said, okay, let me go back to a job somewhere in the world. Typing would still be there. Let me not, I'm not comfortable using machine. So that person would bear the consequences, right? Similarly is for this. Secondly, there's another thing which I want you to understand, which is reverse mentoring. I'm sure all of you would have heard of mentoring. What does mentoring means? Mentoring means Someone who has 5 years, 10 years experience in an organization is going to guide another newbie in the organization who has just joined the organization, completed 1 or 2 years, right? This is known as mentoring. Reverse mentoring is when a 21-year-old who has just joined the organization is going to mentor someone who is 45 years at a CXO level, CTO, CEO level. Okay, this is known as reverse mentoring. Now, why does this happen? Because the Gen Z, the generation that we are in, friends, the millennial and the Gen Z, they are very tech savvy and they are very high on critical thinking skills. This is what I have noticed when I take sessions and when I interact with people like you. Okay, they are, and especially engineers. Last month I was in an engineering college. It was during the orientation day. They hadn't even started their classes. Okay, it was just the first week, and I told I can bet on your analytical thinking skills because engineering curriculum prepares you for analytical thinking skills. So when you sit for an interview and someone is asking you, why should we hire you? You tell them that because the curriculum that I have come across has given me strong analytical thinking skills. Okay. So when this thing happens, that when a junior is mentoring a senior, at this point, if the senior guy feels that why should I be mentored by someone who is junior, then that is also not active learning. You have to put your ego aside. Okay, so the organizations want people who are active learners. Organizations want people who are resilient. Resilience meaning who are people who are able to bounce back from difficult situations. I would have loved if y'all could have responded on chat or maybe unmuted and spoken, but let's see if that is possible at the end. But as of now, you can share your ideas when the time comes towards the end. But if you want to know what resilience is, it simply is bouncing from difficult situations. The pandemic taught us that. Okay, then they want people, organizations want people who are flexible in terms of working with machines and working with people. Okay, flexible in terms of working from office, working from home, or working from anywhere rather. Okay, so first bucket, they want people who are good in self management, who can manage themselves well. Okay, then comes problem solving. Now this is the most important skill, I would say. Of course, the first bucket, if they have mentioned it in the first bucket, it is important. But why I'm saying this is the important skill, friends, because all of us, as I said, our focus is on programming or understanding VLSI design or everything related to the hardcore part. But you need to understand something which is at an even deeper level, and I'll share with an example. Okay, now a Q&A is not possible. Like I cannot have one learner who I can ask and then that person would answer. But then let's try to understand this through an example. Okay, another disclaimer, friends, you might see me or you might hear me using the word learner instead of students. So the thing is that I feel, this is my strong belief, that all of us, including myself, are students of life. So I summon my students, or rather people who are there on the other side, as learners rather than students. So don't get confused if I'm using this word learner. It is for all of us. Okay. Now let's understand this skill of problem solving through an example. Suppose I ask you to explain to me how to find out the average of 5 numbers in English. Okay, suppose I take one learner from you. I pick one learner and I ask you to explain to me how to find out average of 5 numbers in English. So all of you, I believe, would be able to do it, right? Now, suppose I ask you to explain to me how to find out whether a string, or we all know what a string is, a text, is a palindrome or no in Marathi. Okay. Now, for the first situation, you would have said, okay, I know how to find out average of 5 numbers. I know English, so I will be able to explain to ma'am. In the second case, if you don't know what a palindrome is, you will not be able to explain it, right? So one prompt is how to find out whether a string is a palindrome or no, and explain it to me in Marathi. And other thing is how to find out whether a string is a palindrome or no in the language of your choice. You can explain in your own mother tongue also. Now, what's the prerequisite for this? You should know what a palindrome is. If you don't know what a palindrome is, you will not be able to explain it in any language of the world, right? Now, the point I'm trying to make here is, because of the kind of world that we are living in, when we see that there was someone who had solved so many problems on lead code or on any of these competitive coding platforms and could bag a job in Amazon or Google, our entire focus is on language. Our entire focus is on learning Marathi or learning English or learning Java or learning Python. What is a programming language? A programming language is a language used to communicate with the machine, right? Just as you would explain something to me in English, Java or Python or R or Ruby on Rails is the language you use to communicate with the machine. But if you don't know how to do it, if you don't know what a palindrome is, if you don't know how to find out whether string is an anagram or no, you will not be able to do it in any language. So we'll go a little step back. From today onwards, whatever preparation we are doing, apart from mastering the language, we will focus on problem solving. So when you solve these problems on these competitive coding platforms, when you take up mini projects or long-term projects in your college, don't worry about the language. Just focus on developing the problem solving skills. Okay, because I'll give you two examples because you will be able to relate more with examples. Okay, my brother is working in JP Morgan as a software developer. When he takes interviews, he literally tells the other person, this is the problem statement, and you can Google. So the student or the interviewee on the other hand side is Googling in front of the interviewer, going to Stack Overflow, copy pasting, and all of that. The point I'm trying to make here is language is something that you will learn, you can learn, but no one can teach you the problem solving skill. When you start working, let's say I join Amazon today, the work that they will give me in the first week will be they'll give me one small bug to solve. We have to add items in the cart, but the cart number is not reflecting properly. There is some bug. Now, the code will be just 2 to 3 lines, which I will get on Google. I can guarantee all of you with my experience. Okay. But you need to know, where do I put this code in the entire 1500 lines of file? That is where you need to understand the flow, structure, ability to read other person's code. Okay. So important is problem solving skill. Language is something you will understand. My 10 years experience team lead, when I used to go to him to ask a question, the first thing that he used to do is Google. So Google will be there, syntax will be there, language help will be there. But you need to know problem solving. What is problem solving? What is analytical thinking? I said that you can mention it in the interview. Analytical thinking is simply breaking down a problem into small modules or chunks and then working towards the solution. It's a simple thing. Let's say you are asked to organize a tech fest in your college. Okay. Now you will break it down into simple things. Okay, how many events, on what all floors, who will be the sponsors, who will be the team members who will work on this, who will work on the tech part, who will work on the design part, who will work on the social media part, right? So this is known as breaking down the problem. So whenever you come across any problem, this is what we need to do. Okay, when I gave my interview few years back in one of the leading e-commerce companies in India, and I'm sharing examples because you'll be able to relate. So that there were two co-founders, and one was from Microsoft, and like he had quit his job from Microsoft and had started this company, and the other person had studied from Carnegie Mellon University. Then he asked me a question which was related to strings. Now I didn't know how to solve it. I knew the name of the algorithm. So when the person asked me that question, I told him that I know the KMP algorithm. You can go and read about it. The Knuth-Morris-Pratt algorithm. It's known as the KMP algorithm. So I said, I know the KMP algorithm is used to solve this, but I don't know how it works. That was my words. Then he said, I don't know about any algorithm. I want Aarti to design one algorithm. Those were his words. And I started to think. And he also gave me a few hints. We thought together, and 5 to 6 steps I was able to think. Then he told me to stop and he moved to the next question. He said, okay, Aarti, now tell me how do drivers function in computers? The point I'm trying to make here is mug up the whole algorithm. I can mug up quick sort and how hash sort and how bubble sort works. I can mug up everything, but I may forget. But I was hired for this role, even though I did not know the algorithm, because they were just testing if I can think or no. So organizations are just testing if you can think or no. This is one thing. Another thing I want you to take from this example is, a lot of times what happens is I have seen learners, when they ask me this question, I could have just said no, right? Because I don't know. So whatever little you know, you should be able to speak. Because I said that I know the algorithm name, but I don't know how it functions, he proceeded and he also helped me to think. And I was given that opportunity. If I would have said no, we would have jumped to another question, right? So they're just testing your ability to think. So now you need to take a step back and work on your problem solving skills apart from your language building skills. Okay. Then one of the next skills here is critical thinking. What's the difference between critical thinking and analytical thinking, friends? Critical thinking is getting to the root cause. A lot in VIT for final year placements, I know a lot of consulting companies also come. Consulting companies test your critical thinking skills. What is the root cause of this problem? Okay, simple thing. Some of you are into social media management or into digital marketing, right? Now, let's say for digital marketing, I have a product and I have to promote it on social media. I have an option. I can run sponsored ads on Instagram or on Facebook. One is I blindly go and run ads on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Another is I try to understand that this is my product or service. Which age group will use this service? Okay, and which age group is on which platform? For example, if it's a product or service that older people might use, I might go to Facebook. If it's a product or service with the Gen Z or the millennial, the younger generation will use, I'll go to Instagram. Or if I am targeting the rural or people from the vernacular background, I might go to YouTube and shoot a video like the sponsored video ad in Hindi or maybe in other language. This is known as critical thinking. This is known as root cause analysis. Rather than blindly doing something, targeting a specific thing and working towards it. Okay. Then we have creativity, and then reasoning, problem solving, and ideation. Now, what is creativity, friends? Creativity is ability to think differently, which is a little difficult, the country that we live in, because when we were kids, and especially when we draw, a lot of times our teachers tell us that you have drawn outside the box. The color is going outside the box, outside the border. And when that same person grows old, my manager will tell me this is fine, but we need to think outside the box because we want to differentiate ourselves from clients. So throughout our childhood, we were made to think that we should think within the box, we should color within the box, we should do what others around us are doing, and suddenly we are asked to do something different. So hold on. If I would say that if you are doing something different, if you can think differently from others, just continue doing that. Don't question yourself if you see people around you not understanding your idea. Okay. Then we go to working with people and technology and design. So this is something that will be very simple and straightforward. People, organizations want people who have good leadership skills, emotional intelligence, who are good in convincing people, persuasion and negotiation. Okay. There is a saying in management that I hire for IQ, but I fire for EQ. I hire for technical skills, I fire for behavioral skills. And this was my experience when I started training. I used to take full stack development training in TCS, Java, Python, UI, SQL, all these languages. And that's the time I realized that EQ is far more important. IQ is just a little part. Okay. So we have to focus on both of these things. And technology and design, we all know what we are talking about, right? So as I said, languages help will be there, but our focus should be problem solving first and then programming. So the conclusion is that these are soft skills which make employees relevant, and automation cannot replace soft skills. You cannot have a machine learning algorithm which will replace strong decision making skills. Like if a leader has to take this decision, as I said, lay off or shut down, or whether I should fire an employee or I should just suspend an employee. A lot of factors will be involved. Based on pattern recognition, you cannot tell the machine to take this decision. Okay. And according to Harvard Business Review, hard skills are incomplete without soft skills. I might have a lot of skills, but if I cannot communicate it with the world, then I'm not doing justice to my skills. That's why hard skills are incomplete without soft skills. Okay. Now, here is one slide. I want all of you to just look at the jobs which are here and tell me what is common amongst all the jobs here. Okay. What is common amongst all the jobs here? In case the chat is enabled, we'll just see that. Is the chat enabled?
No, ma'am, chat was
Oh,
not enabled. So as the meeting, before the start of the meeting, we have to do that. So it's not enabled. So that's why we'll
okay.
enable the mic on the
Okay, sure, sure.
emojis.
Fine, fine, fine. So, lot of times when I ask this question, and I'm sure some these words would be coming in your minds also, just that you are not able to share maybe data or technology, programming. This is what I hear. And all of these answers are 100% right. But another thing that I want all of you to reflect is if you notice, none of these jobs were very popular. I'm not saying that they did not exist. I'm saying none of these jobs were very popular almost a decade back. SEO was there, ethical hacking was there a little bit, blockchain was also there, big data, Hadoop was definitely there, but they were not very popular. Okay, today it is becoming very popular. The point I'm trying to make here is, friends, that just as we have these jobs today which are very popular, after a decade in 2032 there will be another set of jobs here. Okay, these jobs will change. We will have to update ourselves on different technologies. But will there ever come a time wherein they will say that we don't need people who are confident, we don't need people with good communication skills, we don't need people who are high on emotional intelligence? That time is not going to come, right? That's why it is said that soft skills make employees relevant, they stay constant. Okay, now let's also see what all things are included in these soft skills, because I think we have been using it since quite some time. Okay, soft skills: resilience, leadership, understanding business, creativity, your ability to adapt, empathy, which is one of the most important skills. Google did a research in the month of June of all over the world, people who are at the CXOs level. Number one skill was empathy to become a leader, and number seven, it was the list of top seven skills. Seventh skill was technical competence. So, my dear friends, so far if your focus was only on technical competence, I'm not saying we don't have to focus, we have to, but if your focus was only on technical competence, you are not doing something which is 100% right. The number one skill was empathy, ability to connect with people, collaborate with people. Okay, so side by side we have to develop all of these. You have to expose yourself to different activities, meet different people, network, participate in events, organize events, and develop that side of yourself as well. Okay, and I want all of you to quickly read this. The point I'm trying to communicate through this is, this student, if he was a triple IT Lucknow student, he could have just said that this brand itself will help me, I'll just walk into the interview room. If he's in triple IT Lucknow, he would have had his own set of credentials, he could have just walked in, right? But then he still says that he saw several videos to prepare himself for the interview. Soft skills matter a lot. So when we talk about getting workplace ready, friends, apart from the technical skills, are soft skills which were these kind of skills, these also play an equally important role. And I can give you n number of examples. I have seen people who are excellent in English, but then their problem solving skills are okay. And then there are people whose problem solving skills are excellent, okay, but then they are not very good in English. So what happens is, if I were to give you an example of interviews, as an HR person, now I'm working as an HR person in soft skills. So there would one girl would come and she would have flawless fluent English, and anyone who is on the other side would get convinced that she's speaking so much, that means she's experienced in all of those things. Now the thing is that I come from a technical background, so I'm able to ask the other person technical questions also. So I will ask, have you stored the passwords in plain text, or have you done any kind of hashing algorithm, or like have you used MD5 SHA, or encrypted it in any format, or simply saved it in plain text? When I start asking technical questions, even though the English is flawless or fluent, we come to know. And there is another person who is not even able to speak good English, but when I ask them to explain the project, they have done amazing projects. Now the thing is that because I come from a technical background, I can sit on the other hand side and I can understand that this guy's English is not good but has good technical skills. This girl has flawless, maculent English skills, but at a technical level, she's not very strong. But then what we need to understand is not every interviewer has this knowledge. Not every interviewer will be able to ask technical questions, right? So at that point, they're biased towards the first candidate, because I have seen the other panelist would be saying that we'll just hire this person, and the moment I start asking technical questions, a lot of things change. Okay, so we'll do a balanced approach. Getting workplace ready is about balancing your preparation, focusing on both the skills. That is the point I want all of you to take home today. Okay, and one last thing, I know we couldn't communicate on chat, but that's absolutely fine. There's still a way we can communicate and try to summarize today's session. So I want all of you to go to this website on your phone. You can go menti.com and type this code. When you go to this website, menti.com, just type this code 56632270 and answer the question given there. You can see the code on the top as well. Whatever we have discussed so far, we have heard almost an hour, right? But I want you to think of what's your one liner takeaway from today's session. Because we need to take something with us, especially if we have spent some time on a Sunday evening, or Sunday afternoon. What would be your one liner takeaway from today's session? Even if you heard for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 minutes, whatever time it is, we definitely would have some takeaway. And if you're facing any difficulties, please unmute yourself and ask. Instructions are there on the top, menti.com, and you'll enter the code. And it's anonymous. I'm not going to come to know who has entered what, so feel free to share whatever it is. Wonderful. That's absolutely right. I liked how you summed both the things, personality as well as thinking capability, ability to solve problems. Exactly. Thank you all of you who are sharing your responses.
And we'll be sharing that link through our entire program groups also, like who have joined here. They'll be
answering. Sure, sure. Yes, that's absolutely right. Reluctance towards any of these things is also something that will prevent us from growing. Both are important to get workplace ready. Yes, that was a good summary. So, since it's already time and I understand that it's a Sunday, we could have taken more responses. But if you all want, I can share the screenshot of this once all of those everyone shares so that you can also get a good glimpse or a good summary of what your teammates or what your peers have taken from today's session. Okay, which are helpful to future. Great. Thank you so much for sharing these responses and for your participation as well. Yeah. Over to you, team. If you want, we can take up a questions or how do you want to take it? I'm comfortable with both. This link will be open. You just remember the code 56632270 and you'll be able to share the responses. I'm still getting responses, which is good. Yeah. If anyone has any questions, you all can unmute yourself and speak. I'm here. If not, at this point, if you don't have any questions, but later on, if you want to reach out to me, then you can ask the team members who have organized this VIT AP Cloud team. They will be able to share my LinkedIn with all of you. So my LinkedIn profile, Aarti Sahu, if you search for my name, then also you'll be able to get. And if you have any questions related to resume, interview preparation, how to prepare ourselves for technical, like if you are in third year and if you are looking for jobs, then if you want to update yourself in the data structures domain or programming domain, what kind of books you all should refer, websites you all should refer, or anything in general. I'm also a certified emotional intelligence coach. So anything at an emotional or behavioral level also you feel that you will be able to reach out to me and I can be of any help, feel free to reach out. If I am not able to help you, I will definitely connect you to someone in my network who will be able to help you. Okay?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Could you just tell as a mere person, we might not be able to focus on both at a single time. So, could you just give any advices, like how can we manage both the skills, like
Uh,
balance?
balance both the skills. You are in which year?
Third year, ma'am.
Third year. And what is your branch?
Computer science, ma'am.
Computer science. Okay. So I'm sure as of now, especially now that you are in your third year, you would be doing a lot of things already to develop these skills. So first thing is when you are preparing for these interviews, number one thing you need to focus is on developing strong communication skills. Okay, so I would give some tips specifically to you because you are in third year, and then some general tips that everyone will be able to help. There are some commonly asked interview questions. Okay, I want you to make a word document of all of those questions and I'll give you some examples. Tell me something about yourself. Why should we hire you? What are your strengths? What are your areas of improvement? And where do you see yourself in the next few years? Similarly, you will have other questions. Make a Word document of this and start preparing and thinking what all you will answer for each of these questions. Start working on your resume. Okay, your college will have a template. Okay, and this is something that is very helpful. Even if you are in first year or second year, go to your placement team and get the template of your college. When you look at the template of your college, you will notice that there is a section on extracurriculars, there is a section on projects, there is a section on research papers. And in first year itself, you will realize that okay, these are the sections I need to fill. Versus you go to your third year and then you have the template and you will realize अरे 3 साल में तो कुछ किया ही नहीं है. So that should not happen. So number one thing, whatever you are doing, continue with that, but with focus on problem solving. For example, right now, if you realize that I want to get into a coding related job, you are solving questions on Hacker or HackerRank, right? Now, what you're supposed to do is when you read the question, try to see how you would just solve this. No, don't think of the language. What happens is the moment we read a question, we will start thinking about import java.util or hashtag include stdio. Don't get into the coding part. Just think how I will explain it to a child and sort the thing out. And then once you have the solution in mind, think if you can solve it more efficiently. If not, then third step should be about the code. Okay, but indirectly don't start thinking about the code. So that is how you will develop problem solving skills. Now if you are in third year, at this point you might or you might not have much time to maybe organize events, but what you can definitely do is in the next semesters, whatever fests are coming up, at least participate in those kind of fests so that you have some certifications to put in the certification section of your resume. If you are in first year or second year, then you start organizing events, take active membership, try to get some role. For example, the CTO or the coordinator, some main role, so that by the end of the final year you can say that you had hold in the position of responsibility, you can write something. Okay, so that's how you will have a balanced approach. And anything else you need help with, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn separately.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. And guys, if anyone have any questions, keep your hands raised. Then I'll unmute you and I'll give you the opportunity to ask, or else we'll wind up over here. Or else in our program group, or else in our core team, I'll be sharing the LinkedIn profile of ma'am and ma'am's mail ID. If you want, also I'll be sharing that, and you can reach out ma'am at any time you want, or anytime if you are stuck in any career development cases, then you can reach out that. And Charita, over to you for the vote of thank.
Yeah, it looks like we have covered all the bases. So, on behalf of our NGC team, I would like to thank you all and Artist ma'am for your excellent thought provoking talks, for answering these questions, and for the great presentation. It was a pleasure to have you with us. And special thanks to our club faculty, Ganesh Reddy sir, for supporting us on every event and webinar. However, most importantly, I would like to thank you all, the audiences, for attending. We hope you learned and enjoyed this webinar. I would like to conclude the webinar by stating a quote. Our only limitations are those we set up in our minds by Napoleon Hill. Thank you.
Yes, thank you ma'am, thank you, and thank you on behalf of VIT and NGC as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the team, to the organizers, to the college faculty also, Ganesh sir, and to all the participants who interacted. And like I know you all we couldn't interact, but I'm sure that your responses that you were sharing that made me realize, and I can still see some responses coming. So you have learned something. So and once again, thank you for joining on a Sunday afternoon. Take care. All the best.
Yes ma'am, thank you ma'am, thank you
Thank
so
you, ma'am.
much.
Thank you.
Yes, guys, the webinar get workplace ready was officially ended over here, so we are concluded. So you may leave all. If anyone want to reach out, ma'am, you can ask me, or else you can reach out me for the contact details of our speaker.